Rid of this computer. All right. Let's see. Welcome to the 16th annual First Nations launch. This is our gateway kickoff. Technically, it is our first of two gateway kickoffs. We had you guys were our second round draft. We have a third round that was just made today, so congratulations on making it in. So, quick overview of what we'll go through today. We'll do welcomes, introductions, little competition overview, go through some of the scoring for the competition, prizes, and then some extra items that'll be good for you guys to know throughout the competition. So to start, here's more of our admin team. So from Wisconsin, uh, hi, I'm Rob Cannon, the project program manager. We also have Connie Engberg with us today. She's our amazing project support assistant. We'll always be hounding you guys, make sure you have everything turned in on time. From our admin team, we have Mark Abatasaway and Frank Noble. They'll both help make sure that you guys get through the competition smoothly. In addition, this year, we have Brittany Nez joining us. She is the Moon lead. And then Bob Justice is always around, normally around launch weekend. And then when we start doing the safety checks and, of course, launch weekend, he'll be there. From the NASA side, our current activity manager is Grace Johnson. She might pop in every so often to a meeting or trying to convince her to join us for launch weekend. Here's a quick list of current judges we have in the competition. Won't go into too much. They're spread out between the various divisions. And then for our teams this year, nicely stacked between Gateway and Mars. Nice full busy year for Mark. Right. So some key changes for 2025, just to get those out of the way, because I know out of these schools that are in our session right now, you guys are prior competitors, so you guys may have knowledge of how the competition normally runs. So for this year, we've adjusted our handbooks. There are specific handbooks for advisors and then separate handbooks for each division. The Gateway one is still in work. We're trying to finalize some details with that. But in the interim, we encourage you to make use of the advisor handbook. It includes the most critical information of what kits are selected for this year and what corresponding motor options there are. So that'd be enough for you guys to go on for right now until we get the Gateway handbook posted. Still from last year, we had this NASA STEM Gateway. It just last year we only had to have you only had to put in a profile. This year we're going to have a couple extra steps. As we get that information from NASA, we'll share it. Another big change, office hours. I normally don't have just a standing like every Thursday at 2. It's more so if you check the link, it's also posted on the FNL website, the calendar page. I have a link there as well. This is to make it easier for you guys to just set a time with me when it's convenient to your schedule, as opposed to trying to make my office hours work for you. And also, we will be expanding the use of our Google Drive this year for each team. So we'll include feedback will be posted back there, including feedback for our Gateway teams, which will be expanding this year. So, as we said, there will be a competition handbook posted later today, if not early tomorrow, for Gateway specific. But otherwise, big thing to remember, the competition handbook is virtually your Bible for the competition. It includes all of the challenge details, the requirements, the milestone expectations, and then resources for, the technical challenge and then project management. So when in doubt, check the handbook. No, most questions can be answered in there. Let's see. So the Gateway Challenge itself. So teams this year will be selecting one of 3 kits, and then you guys will be launching them to between 22 and 2,800 feet. There's no specific payload challenge associated with it. If you guys want to include extra science experiments, you're welcome to. But otherwise, it's the main tracking altimeter, tracking equipment that you guys would be including in that. Mark will have more details next week during the project management webinar on some of like the expectations that we'll have with that. So when we do get to the point of you guys ordering kits, big thing to keep in mind, make sure it includes the eBay module, and if required, make sure you have a 38 millimeter motor adapter. Because the motors selected for the kits this year are all 38 millimeter. All right. Mark, did you want to run us through this section?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Good afternoon. Good to see some familiar faces. Hey, Gary. It's been a minute. Um, all right. So milestones, right? So how do we achieve this? Your goal here is to put this rocket together and fly it on launch weekend. But between now and then, I think there's something like 16 weeks, right? So what do we do over the 16 weeks? There's what we call milestones, and these are engineering concepts that we use when we design, rockets, for example, or airplanes. So after the kickoff, there are two milestones between launch weekend for Gateway, and it's usually shortened for Gateway because you're only working one semester. The Moon Mars guys, they start in September, so they have a lot more milestones. As you can see on the screen there, they have 5 milestones from proposal, PDR, CDR, FR. For Gateway, you're going to start with a CDR at the end of January. So 3 weeks from now, you're going to submit your first kind of design suggestions to us, and we'll cover more details on the milestones and what's expected in the next week's webinar. But just to give you kind of an overview now at the kickoff stage. So the CDR, it's reviewed by the tech team, which is me and Frank. And then your FRR is your kind of second milestone, middle milestone before launch weekend. That's also the final review by the tech team. And you should have most of your components ordered and ready to build by then. You can have that one, Rob.
Huh? I didn't know if you want to go through this section of these pages, but
So just related to my previous statement, right? Not only are you building a rocket for launch weekend, there's other expectations and goals we want of the Gateway teams. It's much more than just building a rocket. So we want you to learn how to simulate and understand how simulations play into rocketry, right? Into design choices. We want you to understand requirements, which is kind of an engineering concept, right? And all of these skills that you're learning in Gateway, they can be applied to Moon Mars if you want to move on to more advanced challenges in the following years. But they can also be applied to just if you're taking a technical degree, engineering or science, or even if you're taking a non-technical degree, right? You're going to have to learn to research components. You're going to have to learn to create a budget and schedule. No matter where you work, basically, you're going to have to learn some of these skills. Performing component tests, integrating components, giving presentations. We want you to learn about teamwork. We want you to learn about working with advisors and mentors and asking for help from the tech team or your rocketry mentors. So at each of the milestones, you will submit a fly sheet and a presentation. And again, we'll talk more about how to go through those fly sheets and the presentations in next week's webinar, the program management webinar. Do you want to keep going?
yeah.
So RockSim. So first and foremost, RockSim is your primary simulation tool. It is the very first thing you should be focusing on. Hopefully, you've all kind of, I know many of your teams are kind of familiar. You've been here before. I see mentors on the call. I see some returning students on the call. RockSim is the start of your Gateway project. Okay, so before you start thinking about and going online and looking up kits, or before you start looking at altimeters or whatnot, or trying to buy something in procurement, you're going to start with RockSim. So the first couple weeks of Gateway Challenge, you're just going to learn RockSim, download RockSim, procure RockSim, whatever you need to do for RockSim. There's a lot of resources for RockSim, and again, we'll cover much of the details of this in the next webinar next week. And basically, your rock sim is the main tool that ensures that your rocket satisfies the challenge requirements. And RockSim will help with your component selection. So RockSim is a tool that'll help you determine which size parachute you want to use, or how much weight of your altimeters and batteries and whatnot, and where they will sit inside the rocket. To make sure you have, like Rob mentioned, right, the proper motor and the motor mount or motor adapter going into the rocket. Those are all things that you can see or kind of utilize RockSim for. So you should be procuring RockSim ASAP. If you're a mentor, help your teams, explain to them how to get RockSim. If you're an advisor and if you've got RockSim, you've played with it before, bring your new students or new team members up to speed on RockSim. So make sure everyone has a copy of it, whether it's the demo copy and they're starting to learn how to get used to RockSim, and even going online and finding the RockSim kits. In the coming weeks, and again, we'll cover this more in the PM, the next webinar, teams should be examining all three kits in RockSim and looking at all possible motor combinations. So that means there's 2 motors for every kit. So there's 6 possible kit motor combinations you should be looking at before you make your selection. At CDR, 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, we want each team to kind of present, hey, this is the top kit slash motor combination that we want to procure, and maybe have a couple others, and also give a reason why, not just arbitrary because, hey, we like the looks of this one, right? We want to say, hey, we want to pick this one because we think it satisfies the performance requirements the best. It reaches the altitude with this motor. It exceeds the rail thrust to weight ratio or rail exit velocity, and we think it's the proper diameter, the proper material. We can work with this. We have equipment in our school to work with the material and whatnot. Next. So as we mentioned, fly sheets. Usually after you start to play with RockSim, you start to understand the inputs and the outputs of RockSim. You're going to have a fly sheet, which is there's a template you download from the WHGC website, and it's kind of a lot of it is basically comes from RockSim. It's performance parameters from RockSim. It's things like the thrust to weight ratio, the rail exit velocity. We want to know your max acceleration or your max velocity. These are all kind of things that you'll be able to pull from RockSim. So it helps to look at the fly sheet now to understand all of those performance parameters, and then maybe learn or teach yourself how to get those performance parameters out of RockSim. And then, conversely, for the mentors on the call, advisors on the call, right? Make sure your students understand what the fly sheet is asking, what it's looking for, and then make sure to teach the students how to find those values from the RockSim. And you'll submit a fly sheet at each milestone. So the fly sheets, Moon Mars do the same thing. The other challenges also do fly sheets at their milestones. So go on the website there, and I don't know if we can drop links, Rob, in the chat while we go. Teams can look at the launch rubrics.
Yeah, get those local
And
website
fill
real
it as
quick.
much as you can. And we know at the first milestone, for example, we know maybe you didn't have enough time to learn all of the performance parameters. So fill as much as you can. And it's okay to be missing some of them. So don't lie, don't make up numbers, don't put random things in. If you don't understand something, it's fine. Just that's what you will present to us. You'll say, hey, we only figured out this, 60% of the sheet so far. We're going to work to learn the rest of it, by the next milestone. And we also know that your design will change. So at first milestone, you may say, hey, our velocity is going to be 200 feet per second. That's not the final design, right? We know it's going to change. At the next milestone, it's going to be a different value. So just making sure that you understand how to find the value, what the value is, and then it's going to change at each of the milestones. Next. I think we have an example kind of on the website. So I don't know if we posted the link. If you go on the website, on the scroll bar on the left, you'll get to the templates page. There's an example there of the gateway fly sheet. So you'll be interested in that first column, the gateway column. You'll download the fly sheet, and then there's a screenshot there of the fly sheet, just an Excel spreadsheet, kind of listing some values, learning where to find those values and populate them into the spreadsheet. Next. We'll cover more of this the next webinar as well. Finally, virtual presentation. So after you've learned RockSim, You've kind of filled out a fly sheet, you understand the performance parameters, then you're going to put together a virtual presentation. Same thing, there's a link on the website, there's a template to a PowerPoint. You'll fill out the questions in the PowerPoint. You'll fill out the slide by slide. I think there's 10 slides in the PowerPoint. Um, and then you'll give us a presentation. You'll present to the tech team, which is me, Frank. You'll present things like, "Hey, this is the kit we selected. This is the motor we selected. We've done some, preliminary rock sim evaluations. We want you to, present your parachutes. Say, hey, these are the parachutes we want. These are the altimeters we think we want to use. This is the GPS tracking and whatnot." So kind of go through that template and figure out what's required of the presentation, and then go and research those items prior to the presentation. And at the end of the presentation, we'll ask questions, kind of just making sure you understand your budget, you understand your schedule, making sure you've done your research and you've looked into a few options. You don't have to go crazy and look at every option out there. You're just learning basic rocketry at this point. So we may make some suggestions. We may overrule, a parachute, or we may say, hey, let's go with this altimeter instead. We suggest you go with something easier or something cheaper. So we'll give you feedback during the presentation. Next. And same thing, example here on the website. So if you go to the virtual presentation in the gateway column, you'll see the kind of PowerPoint that you need to fill out. Feel free to, you can, I don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? You can format it if you'd like. You want to put your school colors on the PowerPoint. You want to put your school logo, or, other things you want to put on there to, kind of jazz up your presentation. That's fine. But don't change the content of the slides, and don't change the order of the slides. Next. And then finally, your in-person presentation. So on launch weekend, you're basically going to take your final PowerPoint, and this will be in April, 4 months from now, and you're going to have a final PowerPoint, and it's going to kind of summarize, hey, these are all the things we went through. This is the simulations we did. This is the kit we chose to buy and build, and these are all the items that we have in the rocket. And then you're going to present that to us at launch weekend in Wisconsin. So same thing. We just want to give you a heads up now, what to expect going down the road. Next.
All right. Thank you, Mark. So with all the work you guys are doing, this is what we're working towards, this launch weekend. Everyone's planning on arriving on Thursday. Friday will be full with we'll kick it off with a welcome breakfast, weekend kickoff, rocket fair, motor build workshops, breakout sessions, final safety inspections, and then the evening we'll do the oral presentations. Saturday, weather willing, we'll do launch day at Richard Bong State Park, and we'll return to Carthage for the closing banquet in the evening. Sunday, if the weather doesn't cooperate with us on Saturday, will be our alternate date for launching. And then, of course, if we have certification launches we couldn't fit in with the main launch day, we'll have a secondary time set up for that. So we just want to quickly fly through the next few months, major items. So we're here with a kickoff meeting today. Next Monday, the award acceptance materials due, followed by Tuesday, you'll have the project management webinar that we've been plugging. The week after that, we have an avionics altimeters webinar, and then we'll be at our CDR milestone that following Monday. So a few items due by then. February, we'll start off with the virtual presentations. We'll send out a link for you guys to sign up for those, for your sessions. On the 11th, we'll have a recovery webinar. On the 17th, we have a few documents due, one of our major prep milestones for launch weekend. On the 18th, we'll have an advisor and mentor tag up. And then we'll also have an interim review for gateway teams the week after that, on the 26th through 28th. So with the interim reviews, they don't need to be the full-blown oral presentations. It's mainly we're trying to tag up with teams You guys are on an abbreviated timeline, so we just want to make sure that no one's, falling behind, or if you guys are running into any issues, it's something that we might, if we can help, it'll give us that opportunity to step in and assist you guys. March, our first round of payout reimbursement requests will be asked for on the 3rd. We'll do a build and assembly technique webinar on the 4th. And then we have our FRR milestone the 17th with the presentations the week following. April should be pretty quick. So launch operations webinar. So that'll just run you guys through what do we do launch weekend as we go through those steps. We'll do final safety inspections the 9th through the 11th. Another advisor meeting. So this will be more details for what do you guys need specifically for the weekend, help prepare the teams. And then the Monday before launch weekend is when we need your oral presentations. We understand if you guys might need to make changes, but we do need to get those presentations before launch, like before that Friday, so we can have all of the PowerPoints loaded on the computers. We've been running into issues in the past few years with trying to swap out PowerPoints on the fly, and it's been a little tricky with some of our AV folk. And then, of course, launch weekend, we following that. And then in May is our post-launch assessment review milestone. So that'll be your final reimbursements, some photos, and then IM FNL video. And I have more information on the video specifically at the end of the presentation. So we were meaning to introduce this last year, but we're still trying to work it out. So we are creating a new feedback mechanism to help gateway teams understand where they're at in relation to, you know, the competition. So we are still working out the fine-tuned details, but the goal is to pretty much be, if you guys are on track, everything's in, everything's looking good, you guys will be green. If you're just, running into issues on just trying to calculate a few feet, you know, trying to figure out like correct parachutes or, your fly sheet, some of those items, that might be a yellow. If you're falling behind and missing, actually like turning in documents, then you'll be in the red. Out of that, it's no real penalties, but uh, of the teams that are green throughout the competition and come the end of, as we get to launch weekend, of the green gateway teams will have a golden gateway winner. Still working on the name. So some of our prizes. So in case any teams are a little light of members, some suggestions on how to help encourage more team members to join. Could try to do some presentations in classes or club meetings, hold a recruitment event. Um, if you guys would like to try to have an alum from elsewhere, we could always try to help you guys coordinate. If you guys want us to Zoom in for a session, try to talk to the students, help them understand the competition, we're happy to do that as well. So, different options. And of course, we have lots and lots and lots of resources available for teams that at times we feel end up being a little underutilized. So we're trying to stress all of them this year to help make sure all students know where to find them. Let's see. Our tools and tips page is probably going to be the most visited that you guys will be using, other than the calendar. So it includes all of the forms that you're going to need, any of the webinars that we have, all of those will be posted there. And if you guys need even just like the NASA logo or WSGC FNL logos, all of those are there. Also available through the website, we have a set of 6 instructional videos that cover the main topics. These also, we do have webinars throughout each year that cover similar topics. we're working to make sure that we aren't overlapping too far. So, the rock sim you watch here is going to be different than the rock sim that we host as a webinar. But between all of them, it should make sure that everyone is prepared. Like we said, we have different webinars available. So we've already gone through a rock sim, project management, and a structures. We will also have another project management for Gateway. So we try to customize it a little bit more. But you guys will also have the altimeters, recovery, build and assembly, and launch operations to look forward to. Since it's a little more fun to be live than just watching a recording. I believe out of all of our teams in attendance tonight, you guys all have uh, rocketry mentors. If not, please make sure that you reach out to us. We'll help you coordinate to get one, or if you need to find a new one. All right. So some resources that we provide. Of course, we have the marketing materials, the project/travel award. Um, for teams that are here from last year, uh, I do apologize. We had to make a few adjustments based off of changing budgets from NASA. So we were not able to include the mentor awards or the augmentation travel awards this year. We had to scale back on those, unfortunately. Working hard to make sure we don't have to pull anything else from it. But we will still be covering the hotels, 3 rooms, 3 nights for each team. But it's just a little bit more that you guys will have to work out of your uh, primary awards. But if you guys ever need, you can reach out to your state space grant. Sometimes they have extra awards that they can provide to teams, especially for, activities such as this. Otherwise, you could reach out to local companies and organizations near you that might be interested in partnering. When we get to the reimbursements, there are two main ways to do it. Either it's through the college or as individuals. The big thing is please make sure that when you send us back your award documentation, you select the method you want to use. If you need to change it later on, we just need to have an updated award letter sent in. So we can't, like, if your team says you're going to do it all through the school, if we come May 13th, we have a student trying to send an individual request, we will push back on that, likely send it back to you and just be like, hey, you need to route this through the school or we need to get a new award letter. And of course, we have lots of information available on the website. So we have the expense forms, travel forms, instructions for both, and then guidelines for what can be included. The travel expense form, please don't download that just yet. The mileage rate just changed, so we need to update that. But you shouldn't need those until we get a little closer to launch weekend. And more information, those, we had that one. All right. NASA STEM Gateway. As of right now, the only requirement is just to create a profile in the system. If you made one last year, you can go in and just make sure it's updated, any current information. Uh, we are, I'm hounding NASA to give me more information on what we need to do for the next steps following the profile. So as soon as that's available, I'll have that sent out to everyone. Of course, outreach always encouraged. It's a nice way for you guys to inspire the next generation that's going to be following. So different opportunities. It can be as simple as doing a hands-on activity with a class of, fifth graders. It could be as fancy as, taking a local school, a local group out to do Estes rockets. So you can go as simple or as complex as you want for them. We just ask that when you do one of the outreaches, just fill out the form and send it in so we can document it and then tally it up at the end. Because there is, yeah. And of course, one of the more fun aspects I like, the patch contest. So entries are due middle of next month. We have the template available on the website. Again, it doesn't have to be too fancy, but if you have someone who's artistic on the team, always a fun little side project. And of course, we will have these made, and the winner, we have the the winning patch created and distributed to all the teams, so everyone can get one. The I am FNL, so this is more of like a social media item. So it's 30-second video clip, photos, and then tagging in. So I am FNL, just the way to try to get more word out about the competition and inspire the next generation. Let's see. All right, fun little sidebar for this year. Um, we do have a documentary crew that is here filming this year. Uh, I would like to ask if you guys have, if you're each of your respective teams have 30 to 60 minutes within the next week, give me some times that work with you. The documentary crew would like to interview each team to just sort of get to meet everyone as they work through the filming for this year. But let me do this. Hopefully the audio works. Little trailer for the documentary. Play. Of course it isn't. Bear with me. Bear.
My grandma taught me how to bead when I was a little girl. She went to boarding schools her whole life, and they're taught to not speak their native language. So you lived in two worlds, one world here and then the, native other world. And they didn't mix. But now they incorporate learning about natives in the curriculum, which is like amazing. It's a new generation.
I would like to welcome you this morning to the First Nations launch.
This is NASA's largest indigenous rocketry competition.
Of course, we came here to win. We have a drive like every other engineer here.
Is there a name for it or just it?
This is my third year at FNL. Our rockets sometimes went well, sometimes didn't, but gave me the most fun weekend ever.
We will see Stitch fly. We shall see Stitch fly.
This is so cool to see everybody from different tribes and like seeing how they incorporate it into their rocket.
Our rocket is Panic Attack.
They've been working on these projects for 8 months, so now is a chance for them to showcase and be proud of what they've worked on.
We made this drone all on our own, and that's why the wire management is insanely crazy right now.
Drone fights were a little hairy.
Are like the main brain, like flight controller. Poof.
You got tribal colleges, you got major universities.
GPS ready.
GPS is ready.
But, life doesn't always go as planned, right?
Was a STEM students project.
Our rocket went ballistic, which is the first time I've ever launched a ballistic rocket.
I'm staying optimistic.
Yes, you can see it's a little windy out here. Just a little windy.
At least it didn't explode.
I mean, this is like rocket science.
When we're encountering an issue, we kind of just say to each other, "You're an engineer, find a solution."
It's something that we can go fix. We brought all of our tools here.
Every piece of that rocket has a lot of sweat, tears, and admittedly a little bit of blood across it.
I'm really nervous now.
It's okay.
Every time you do something that's challenging and you do it well, it makes you believe you can do the next harder thing, and the next harder thing.
Good luck this time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
Distance 220 meters.
4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket successfully launched 6 passengers to the edge of space.
A decade in the making. This is really the beginning of NASA's dream.
It's a whole new era of spaceflight.
Wetland.
Wetland.
Oh, soggy socks.
If we're going to go to a place like Mars and explore the solar system, we need to do it as a collective and include people from different ethnicities, people with different views on their origins.
She looks like she survived. I'm really happy. The GPS coordinates were spot on. And it's still important to approach those questions of how do we explore space, and that's not just something that belongs to aerospace engineers, it belongs to all of us.
And for our first place award, it is...
We're not all rocket scientists, but we can say we have like 1% of it now. We're setting the tone for the future.
So could be fun. So 30 to 60-minute time frame that your team has available. If you want to give me 1 or 2 times that work for the team, just email me directly so I can coordinate those meetings with the film crew. All right, so final reminders. Calendar link. Office hours are now set through appointments. Webinars, all of the webinars are through here. Same Zoom session as this one. All the recordings are available on the Tools to Tip. The video series is always available. And of course, all your templates are found on the rubric page. Let's see. I know it's a lot of information to cover in a short amount of time, but any questions that we may have? None? Did we really get this all down pat and I answered everything? Well, that's a wonderful feeling. All right. Well, that was the session. So I know it's a lot to get prepared on. The Gateway Handbook will be ready either tonight or early tomorrow. But in the meantime, Jennifer, I'm not sure how many we still have left over.
Jennifer, you should have just came to lunch weekend.
It was a nice shirt, though, I will admit.
I'm surprised Kelly doesn't have his usual question. Kelly, we know you want what you want to ask.
Frank already okayed me.
Oh, did I? Yes, I did. You're doing a facelift on a rocket.
Yeah, and we just received all of our parts the rest of them all came in today. So
okay,
I got my whole stuff sitting there now.
All right.
So the team will start next week.
Okay. And the team is going to work on the rocket, correct?
They better.
Okay. Good.
We got 4 people so far that are meeting like next Wednesday. So
all right.
The first thing is they got to sit through one of these like lecture videos or something. So
Yeah, it's not intellectual, it's information.
Yep.
And it's valuable information.
Well, if it's next Wednesday, you'll have the recording from Mark's project management webinar that'd be good for him.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more questions? Just to let you know, me, Rob, and Mark and Connie, if you need some reaching out to be done and answered, let us know.
Yeah, we're here for your success.
Well, you're all familiar faces. You should all kind of have an idea what's going on, but let us know what you're struggling with.
Yep.
And we'll do what we can to help you.
Or if you guys find inconsistencies, if we happen to overlook something and you're finding conflicting directives between like the website or a handbook, let us know. It's a lot of places to find an update along the way.
Rob, on that video that I am.
Yes.
A few years ago, I don't know if Connie remembers or something, because Eric put together with the students, they had to set a video to music. Is that kind of the same thing? We showed our students building it from the start all the way through the launch, and they had like some music in the background.
I think it's up to the filmmakers to put that in there or not. I don't know. I'm sure they're not going to play music while you're talking, but possibly while you're performing your rocket building, possibly. We don't know.
Oh, so is this for the documentary or what?
The IMFNL is separate.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
more of like an individual sort of like student going through saying like, you know, I'm a competitor. The documentary is a separate animal all of its own.
But the question is, will they put that in a documentary?
I think they want current content, not past content.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah,
probably not.
That's where the interviews, like the meetings that we're trying to coordinate with them, will be them figuring out their film schedule, which teams they need to try to get to,
Mm-hmm.
and compile all that together.
The IM FNL type thing is more for advertising for WSGC.
So that's what I think they did that one time, and Eric helped them embed music because they did their whole. It was more for advertising, like you said.
Yeah, and it can be like 1 minute long.
All right.
They're not big, extensive.
I just got to have parameters tell them so when they're making it.
I'll double check if we have a document put together with like any guidelines for it. As far as I know, I don't think we had anything too specific on it, but I'll try to pull something together if that'll help the team narrow it down.
Well, if it's for social media and advertisement, it's pretty well anything that catches your eye, I guess.
For the most part.
I don't do social media, but I'm guessing. I'll leave that up to Mark, right, Mark?
Oh, I'm not the social. That's Connie and Rob are the social media experts of our team.
Me and Mark are just the clowns.
And Christine's the marketing guru, not me.
Yeah.
Just the guy in the video talking. I don't know, sound like I have a cold doing that little sound bite. I got a frog in my throat. I don't know what that was all about. Yeah. They can't fix that in post. I need to talk to September Club and be like, they sound like, give me a voiceover or something.
You'd have picked the actor to voice over you. It'd be hard match.
Morgan Freeman to do my voice.
I was thinking him, but I didn't want to say.
You can easily AI that in.
You're right. Well, thank you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And of course, reach out with any questions, concerns, etc. We're here to help.